Full intention, arm and all.
Good evening, everyone. Let's call the E911 Board Commissions call to order. Would you please stand for the invocation, please? Let's bow our heads. Oh, Father God, I thank you for another day, oh Lord. Lord, we ask you to please bless California and the first responders and the firefighters, oh Lord. Cover them, oh Father God. Lead and guide them, oh Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Follow me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Slow it down. Yeah, that's what I said. Any additions and deletions to the E911 board? Being none, any guests and public comments?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
you'll see that I printed out y'all sheet, looks like this, a little extra. It's just some information for y'all. If y'all haven't heard, we're having what they call a area code overlay.
Okay.
And so we're gonna be adding another area code, the Louisiana Public Service Commission are adding another area code, so as the amount of numbers needed to, for our area increase, or add another area code.
Really?
So, this is my timeline of what I have to do, which is pretty simple on my part. It's not gonna cost me anything. It's just my technicians gonna have to come, make some adjustments to our equipment. But after a certain time, which I think is September will be the deadline, here, even to dial an 872 number, we'll have to dial 318. Now, because we use cell phones, most of us program that in anyway. But if you were to pick up your phone and dial, you'll have to dial 10-digit dialing. Other parts of the state, they've had to do it. I think over toward Monroe, that part of the state, they had to add another one. But if you look about halfway down, it kind of shows you a timeline of when the change will begin, kind of what customers will expect. If you go down, what'll remain the same, it's not gonna make anybody have to change their phone number. It's just gonna be as they add new numbers. It's not gonna make anything long distance dialing, it's long distance dialing now. You're not gonna have to do anything different to dial 911, 988, or any of the other 3-digit dialing. It's made simple. It's simply going to be that we'll have to do 10-digit dialing because we have multiple area codes. So it's just kind of let y'all know that that change is coming from the state, in case somebody asks y'all about it. Again, y'all don't have to worry about any of this. This part will be handled on my end. I just printed this because it's a great timeline, real short summary of what to expect, and it'll begin in February 24th. That's kind of when it'll start on our end. Or it's starting to be implemented, and then by August 25th, it'll have to be used to make the phone calls through. So we got plenty of time, but just kind of gives y'all, letting y'all know it's coming if y'all hadn't heard already. It's starting to get out on social media and other things. They're starting to post it, but it's not well known yet.
Okay. Thank you for the info. New business. Approve December 16th, 2024 meeting minutes. We'll have a motion.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Clark. Second by Mr. Raines. Any discussion?
It's 1, 2, and 3. I gotta go and change that one. Instead of 1, 3, and 5, it's 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, on the answers.
Yes.
Please vote if there's no discussion. Motion passes. Item 2, authorize payment of approved bills and accept the financial statement as of December 31st, 2024, and year-to-date actual report prepared by Dees and Ground, the CPA. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker,
Second.
second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion on item 2?
It's right.
Okay, thank you. If there's no discussion, would you please vote?
Mr. Baker?
I pushed it, but I guess it didn't work.
Okay, there you go.
Motion passes. Thought I seen it right. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Holmes,
Second.
second by Mr. Raines. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Daniel. We adjourn from the 911, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll roll right into our regular meeting. Any announcements? Regular meeting. Call for additions and deletions to the agenda of the regular meeting.
I'd like to call for a deletion
Yes, sir.
that, under old business, item number 6, rescind the motion made on August 19th, 2024 to not rent the outside of the 4-H building. From what I understand, we had a motion, we had a second, and I think that was an alternate motion, if I'm not mistaken. It was voted on and it was passed. So there's no motion hanging out there to rescind. It should have become part of our policy at that time. So it's under old business. There's actually no old business concerning this. I think it needs to be drawn up a different way and maybe sent back to the committee and then brought back to the body next month, possibly.
Do we have a second?
What do we take action? What was the action taken on that?
Action was that we would not rent the outside of the 4-H building for any events.
And so this motion to rescind is saying to put it back to where it was, where it will be eligible to rent.
I second it.
And we got a second.
Yeah, I think it needs to go through committee.
Got a roll call vote.
You did go
Roll.
through committee, didn't
I think
Originally
so.
went through committee, and then it went to a full jury, and we voted on it. So it's under old business. It's not old business. That was business that was taken care of. If it needs to be brought up again, it's not as old business. It needs to just be brought up again, and then brought before the committee and then to the jury again. Plus, it's saying that we're rescinding the motion. There's no motion out there to rescind. It was voted on and passed. So, you know, I feel like it needs to be worded correctly, and I also think it needs to come back and discussed again, so we can get it right.
Well, I think this is we're getting it right. We're seeing that motion that was made.
I killed it, so we're gonna have to vote for what's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion failed.
The motion failed.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, I thought we had a roll call vote.
Yes, you have to have
A roll
unanimous.
call, but deletions and additions are
Right, he said no.
100%. Mr. Fuller voted no.
Okay, election of officers. Number 1, vice president. I nominate Mr. Greg Baker, vice president.
Second. Who have to say?
Got a second, Mr. Raines.
We have to have a second on the nomination. I don't think we do we?
Got a roll call vote for, Mr. Greg Baker, for vice president. Mr. Fuller?
Aye.
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 Yes,
I was gonna say nay for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you
Ayes
all.
have it.
I won't.
Oh.
Thank you all.
All right, item number 2, president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Holmes.
Okay.
I nominate Arnell Jones.
Okay, Mr. Jones. All right, we'll go with, Mr. Holmes first. Roll call vote. Mr. Fuller?
No.
Sir?
No.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No. No.
No.
No.
I didn't track it. That was too fast.
Noes.
Okay. Mr. Jones? Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, have it. We have a new 2025 president, Mr. Ernie L. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, man.
You can leave that one.
Mr. Jones, can I say something right quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
I just want to say to Rodriguez, thank you for your service.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though you made me mad sometimes.
That's all right. There's gonna be some more of that.
You did a good job.
There's gonna be some more of that. We're gonna live with it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome.
Okay, I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to serve as president again. I think the last time I was here, had some sick issues. And in the words of Greg Baker, he said, I kind of look like the Walking Dead. But I had some very serious issues going on, and hopefully I've overcome them and pretty much healthy now and ready to run 100 miles. So, but anyway, thanks for the opportunity. And I do want to thank Mr. Rodriguez for the last 2 years. He has served. He's done an excellent job.
Thank you.
Well, your jury has been, if you don't mind, let's give him a applause. And if I do half as good as you did, I'll be satisfied.
You will.
All right. Okay, let's continue. Guests and public comments. Any guests or public comments at this time? Hearing none. President report. I have none. Mr. Rodriguez, I will allow you if you have something.
No, sir.
Council report.
None.
No council report. Administrative report.
Yes, sir. And congratulations, Mr. Arnell.
Thank you.
On being president, and Mr. Baker for continuing to be vice president. As I've said before, I enjoy working with you, like I enjoyed working with Mr. Ross. You know, y'all have been very accommodating and definitely let me know where things need to be changed and where things don't need to be changed. So I appreciate y'all. Item 1, capital projects. I'm going to review the capital projects we have in the 2025 budget, where we are with those. I-49, item 1 is I-49 North Industrial Park. This is the biggest of the road projects we are looking to bid this year. Design is nearing completion. At this time, we are meeting with landowners, working on right-of-way acquisition, and meeting with the utility companies to resolve utility relocations that will be needed. This project is currently looking to bid in April of '25. We anticipate this project to last no longer than 18 months. Item 2 is Bethlehem Road off of Highway 5. The preliminary design is completed in coordination of the utilities that are in conflict with the work that has started. 10 feet of right-of-way is being pursued from each side of the road. As soon as the utility and right-of-way issues are resolved, we will be bidding this project out. Currently, we have no date of bidding as we're trying to work on the right-of-ways. Item 3, the Wallace Lake Road project. Design work is complete. This project is scheduled to be sent to advertising in April of '25. Brown Road, design work is being finalized. We anticipate bidding the clearing and grubbing work in March of '25.
Excuse me, no, what road was that?
Brown Road, yes, sir. Cook Creek Road, drafting of the plans have been finalized. We anticipate to be advertising this project in April of '25. Metcalf Road, this project is currently being studied to determine if this road can be utilized as a truck reroute or not. This is a 100% dependent upon landowners granting enough right-of-way, as this road is currently not a viable option for the truck routes, hence the study that we had to do to make sure we can get that that road widened enough. The next item is Red Bluff Road. Currently, we are working on the design of this road. We look to advertise this project in early 2026. If that changes because of funding, which y'all all know, the severance tax issue that we've sent to the state and we've been fighting, lobbying to get. If we start getting monies, we may be able to bid that one earlier. First Street, we have placed the order for a new rail car to replace the existing culvert at this location. Once that culvert is available, we will quote this project for installation. Currently, we have no date for bidding on this one yet. Moving on to general fund projects. The Hoopla Park playground equipment, currently working on getting quotes for some of the playground equipment and benches at the park. We do not have a date for construction on this one yet. Backstops at the ballpark, also known as the sports complex, that's in the budget. Finance is currently working to get competitive quotes for the backstops. Once we've received those quotes, Finance will be sending the money to DeSoto Athletics so they can schedule time for the installation and construction. I anticipate this construction to begin in August of '25, which is after the ball season. The splash pad at Alumni Park, a PO has been issued for the splash pad. We are working to finalize the material order construction schedule. We have no timeline on the construction currently. KCS sewer project, Baylor Engineer has been contracted to complete the design of the sewer lines. We hope to have this project ready to bid by June of this year, 2025. Registrar of Voters Office, quotes have been received for awnings and construction of the partition walls. The partition wall construction has started and is being monitored through the maintenance division. We are currently working on a schedule to begin the awning work. Courthouse boiler system. We are in preliminary design for the upgrade to the boiler system at the Annex/DA's office. We have no timeline for when this project will start. The courthouse renovations. Currently, we have received the design work on the renovations for the basement floor and the first floor of the courthouse. We're currently working on getting the quotes. We have no immediate timeline on this project. The Stonewall splash pad. The jury has authorized $150,000 to the town of Stonewall for the construction of a splash pad. It is up to the town of Stonewall to accept the money and schedule the construction. Currently, we have not heard anything regarding this project from them. The jury is only contributing the money. We will not be operating or maintaining this splash pad if it is constructed. That will be up to the town of Stonewall. The demolition at the detention facility site. The buildings that have been identified for demolition at the future site of the detention facility will begin next week. You will see some activity related to that. The detention facility construction. The engineer architect has made some revisions to the floor plans for the detention facility. They are currently still working on finalizing those plans. We anticipate advertising this project in March or April of 2025. The construction timeline for this facility will be around 18 months. The new sheriff's office building, after discussions with the engineer architect and the sheriff, they will be bidding out this project either by the end of this month or early February 2025. Solid waste, the gas system at the landfill. Currently, Vital Biomethane is nearing completion of their construction of their gas system. They are currently working on the pipeline construction that leaves the facility and sends the gas out to the landfill. I have no firm date from them on when they will begin a full gas extraction. They are currently continuing testing their flare facility and the other gas systems that they've had to install out there. Cell 10 construction. We are nearing completion of the construction of Cell 10 at Mundy Landfill. Currently, they are working on installing a lift station for stormwater diversion. Barring any issues we may have with the DEQ inspection or any other weather-related delays, we anticipate the cell to be ready for use no later than April or May of this year. Now, it'll be open, but we probably won't be going into it immediately because we still have plenty of surface area to cover to get over to Cell 10. Item 2, the 2025 overlay program. If you would, please find attached to your administrator's report a copy of the 3-year asphalt overlay program schedule of roads. This will give you the list of roads that have been identified either by a juror or by the road department that needed some work. This work does not include basic maintenance of the parish roads for which the road department is currently responsible. In addition to the name of the road, you will see within the report the miles of road being worked and the project limits. If anyone has any questions about this report, please feel free to reach out to Fred or Philip with the road department, as they're the ones who developed this and give us this information. Item 3, the new compactor site zoning. The zoning change passed at the Stonewall Council meeting last week. We have begun our environmental work, which includes preliminary wetland study, archaeological testing, and any soil testing to determine the use of this property. I anticipate closing this property within the next 120 days. And that's what I have to report. Does anybody have any specific questions?
No question. All right, thank you.
And just to let you know, the lobbyist, he's not here, Chance is not here tonight. His wife had a baby last night, so he had asked for us to just kick it to next month, so, you know, again, he apologized.
All right, no problem.
What
That's
if
good
you
to see.
see one of the roads that's not on this list, you say get with Mr. Woodley?
Yes, ma'am. Well, the overlay list, that's the monthly repair list. If you look at the administrator's report, behind it in your binder, you're gonna see the 3-year asphalt overlay program, which identifies all the roads that we have for the next 3 years within each of the jurors' districts. So if there's something in there that y'all want to have them work as part of the overlay program, not talking regular maintenance, pothole patch and stuff like that, please get with it.
It's gonna be an overlay. It's a road that we were maintaining, that the parish just let go. And it done completely grown up. It was overlaid, but it's not anymore, and they finna develop back there, and they need to fix.
Okay.
And, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, if that's not on this list, then just get with Fred or Philip, and we'll see about getting that scheduled. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Norton.
Yes, sir.
Okay, lobby's not gonna be here. The treasurer, financial report.
Good evening,
Good evening.
and congratulations, Mr. Arnell and Mr. Baker. Look forward to working with y'all.
Thank you, thank you.
Hopefully y'all had time to review the December financials. Wanted to point out that these have the budget amendments already made to comply with the Local Governing Budget Act for the 5% variance. And to also note that these are gonna be draft from here out until we do the auditor year entries and our accruals. Accruals should be done at the end of February. So you will see some numbers changing, but not drastically. In the general fund, we received $8.5 million in revenues, while the expenses are $8.5 million, with an additional $3.2 million that was transferred out to the correctional facility fund. So you will see a net decrease of, let me get there, 2.5. Like I said, majority of that was transferred. $2 million was transferred to the correctional facility, $595 to animal services, and then we had the OCS office that we did the yearly transfer. The road department, we received $15.3 million in revenues, while the expenses are at $16.4 million. It's a net decrease in the fund balance of about $1 million. This is due to the $1 million that we spent roughly on the storm debris cleanup. However, if you look at the fund balance reserve and the disaster recovery, that's an offset of $409,355 that we received back from the state. We had a budget transfer of $1 million from the Oil and Gas Economic Development that we were going to make. $500,000 of that was for the US 171 South, the CSJ Road, and the other $500,000 was for the EDA project, the I-49. I only transferred $500,000 for the CSJ Road. Did not transfer the remaining for the EDA grant because that is still in the design stage. We'll not be doing that until we get that project going. On the witness and jurors, revenues are at 100% and expenditures are at 83%. The jail fund, we had $1,507,067 collected in sales tax and interest earnings. The operational expenses are at 90%, capital outlay at 92%. $2 million was transferred to the correctional facility fund. The correctional facility fund, all budget transfers were made in December, with the exception of $1 million. We were scheduled to transfer $6.6 million from the tipping fees. Due to cash flow, we only transferred $5.6 million. That cash flow, we had a couple of customers that pay us at the middle of December. We did not get those payments until the first week of January. Planning on transferring that $1 million next month. The fund balance on that fund, the correctional facility, is $15,055,007. With this and the additional $11 million that we'll have from the sheriff's office gives us enough for the construction of the detention center at $26 million. Solid waste fund, we received $14.7 million in revenues, while the expenses for the landfill are at 94%. The compactor site expenses are at 93%. Capital expenses are 86%. A net decrease in the fund balance of $5.4 million due to the transfers to the correctional facility fund. The criminal court fund, we received $787,899 in revenues. We spent $580,718 was paid in expenses, a net increase change of $207,181. The Office of Community Services, total revenue collected is $1,321,268, with total expenses at $1,515,034. There's a fund deficit of $29,340. We had a reimbursement that came in late Friday in the amount of $15,814. And we're waiting on a payment reimbursement for $39,804. And we will be submitting the reimbursement for December at the end of this week. All in all, that will take care of that deficit. The airport revenues are 100%, while expenses are 86%. The rental assistance revenues and expenses are both at 100%. E-sewer fund, no activity. We'll be working on year-end closing entries. Animal services, total revenue is at 100%, same as last month, while expenses are 84%. Sinking fund, the fund balance in the amount of $2,460,300 was transferred to the correctional facility, and the only thing left on that account is the interest for December of in the amount of $3,150. Self-insurance fund, transfer $1 million, $90,160 as of December, and we have paid out $1,046,427 in admin fees, claims, and prescriptions. The fund has a net change of $43,689. And lastly, disaster relief recovery. There's no activity for December, and the fund holds a balance of $409,355. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? No questions? Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report.
Okay, we have a motion
A second.
and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Okay, motion passes. Okay, approval of minutes. Approve December the 16th, 2024 regular meeting, January the 6th, 2025 administrative, airport, budget, and finance, road and buildings and properties committee meetings.
So moved with all necessary correction.
Second.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hear none, please vote.
Rodriguez.
Sorry.
The motion carries. Okay, old business, I think we removed number 6, didn't we?
No, no.
We didn't?
No.
Rescind the motion made on August the 19th, 2024, to not rent the outside of the 4-H building.
So move.
By
Second.
Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Ross. Any discussion?
Point of order. I'd like to check parliamentary procedure on this one because if we can bring up old business that we voted on and passed, we can bring up anything at any time.
Be true.
That doesn't go through, then we have to bring this through committee and then bring it to a regular meeting?
We don't.
If it gets the vote, they can come forward.
Say what now?
If it gets the votes, it can come forward.
Through committee, right?
Well, we took
Either
a vote.
committee or regular meeting, doesn't matter.
took-
It's just-
So
We have a procedure where we add or take things off the agenda. Now, we got to vote to take it off, but we got one dissenting vote, so it stayed. But we didn't get to vote to put it on. It would have had a dissenting vote to put on the thing. It should not have been added without coming through the committee and going the process.
I agree.
You know, it wouldn't have been added had it been brought up the way it should have been brought up.
Now, we've done this so many times. Add stuff
Exactly.
to the agenda, it didn't go through the committee. We fussed at y'all time after time
Oh, you
about
ain't
this.
fussed at me.
Now, I'm just
No,
saying,
you
I didn't
have
call
done-
on that.
you
I
said
didn't call on
y'all.
that.
I want it to go through
It was
committee.
you. I said, we fussed
okay.
at y'all about this.
You said y'all,
So, okay.
talking to
So I
me.
didn't call a name.
Okay.
Well, I can't call your name if I need to, but we've did this before with issues, and it's been added to the agenda, been taken from the agenda. So why is it a issue now? Now all of a sudden, we talk to y'all time after we've talked to the jury time after time about making sure things go by the procedures.
Let's do
And
it
They don't
then.
always do. It's
Starting the new
convenient
year.
at time, but then at time it's not
Isn't that right,
convenient.
Mr.
That's right.
New Year?
Well, we-
Yes, sir.
New
I'm
president?
consistent.
We're gonna do
That's all
things
I'm saying. Be
right?
consistent.
All right,
We
there we
vote-
go.
All
We
right.
put it through committee, we voted on it, it passed, and now it needs to go through committee again if we're going to rescind it or change it. I mean,
Call for the question.
No, that don't go like that. When we did it, we voted. We voted then
Passed.
to rescind, that's right. So he can't come back in this meeting as old business, cause we voted on it in the last meeting. We voted on that. We
That's why
voted
it's
to
called
do
old
just
business.
that.
We've already dealt with it.
that's all I'm asking.
So anytime any of us want to add something to the thing without bringing it before everybody to vote on
Oh.
to add, all we gotta do is just put it on the agenda as old business.
We can bring up anything we want to at any
Put it on
time.
old business, and we're not gonna vote it down. That's good.
Still waiting on legal,
Now,
but,
Mr. Norton, you need to intervene in this, cause what it is, if, it get voted down, then you have to wait the 90 days. This didn't get voted down. This got moved forward. It didn't get voted down.
This is
It
something
got
totally
moved
different.
forward and passed.
Yeah, this is something totally different. It's
It
been
was-
passed. It wasn't something that was a motion on the table.
Well, it went through the committee and it got passed.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
It
it
got
needs to go
passed.
through
So
committee
it's not
again.
old business.
I did
Why
call
it
for
got
the
to go
question,
through the
Mr.
committee
President.
again?
Mr. President, I did call for the question.
okay.
So you can recognize them, and then you guys are supposed to vote on the call for the question.
Here, Mr. Fuller, call for the question. Okay, let's please vote.
Vote it up or down?
Failed.
Tie vote.
That's a failure.
Fine.
Okay, item 7.
Bring it through committee and we'll bring it through.
No, but y'all, these folks trying to have their thing.
I'm telling you, it was the wrong way to do it.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Item 7, update the Upland Road
Have to.
Recycling Center.
We have to do it for everybody.
Well, gentlemen, let's
We
move
have
on.
to do it that way.
Let's move on.
Do it.
Y'all don't do it.
Item
What are
7.
you talking about, y'all? It's the way.
Please, listen. Please, don't y'all make my
It's okay.
first day.
It's okay.
Let's keep a little order. Let's do
I
a
believe
little order, okay?
I believe the president's moving
All right.
on to item number
You got the
7.
gavel over there.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to look ugly at the first. Okay, item 7. Update on the Upland Roads Recycling Center.
Make a motion, we discuss it.
Okay, motion.
We have
And a
currently, John Sutherland is here to give a jury an update on that project.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Sir, you can come up.
Congratulations on your position, or condolences.
Thank you, yeah. Right now, it's looking like the latter.
I'm always amazed
Take
that the least controversial thing we'll talk about is garbage, so we'll see what happens. But real quick update. One, first of all, my apologies for not coming a little sooner. It's unbelievable how time will just get away from you so quick. But please know that you can, or Michael Norton can reach out anytime, and it's just a short drive for me to come over from Monroe. And some of you are kind of new faces, just very quickly. I'm with the University of Louisiana Monroe. I'm the Chief Innovation and Research Officer there. A project had come up a couple of years back, in fact, several years ago. We had approached DeSoto landfill because we recognized, number one, it was clearly one of the best run publicly owned landfills in the state, well-managed, well records, everything about it. And so we made some efforts. That did not work out very well. Came back immediately following COVID to look at some opportunities. The word recycling is a little bit misleading there. It's a recycling, repurposing, reusing of some of the materials that were otherwise take up airspace at the landfill. So with a concentration on the paper, plastics, and the metals, but also finding a use for some of the organics, particularly some of the sludge from food wastes. The two partners that are working in this, Upland Road, they are the ones that you guys have the contract with from New York, and then their agent, so to speak, in Louisiana is a company called R2 Rentals. They are out of DeSoto Parish. These two have been working, I would say, pretty well over the last year and a half. A couple of delays, as you can expect with just about any project of this size. One, trying to locate where ultimately the Smart Center, which would be that formal recycling, repurposing, reusing facility would be. They went down several rabbit holes, as you would imagine, of looking for properties. For one reason or another, some properties didn't work out. It could have been existing contamination on the site. Also some issues with regard to traffic. As you know, coming in off of 49, having additional road or garbage trucks on that road is not a favor to anybody in DeSoto. So there were lots of ways to look at another alternative for that. Clearly, the most important obstacle that they are still working on is full financing for it. As you would imagine, a project of this size, particularly because they're not asking for any local or state monies. This is something that they are trying to fund entirely privately. So that's where we are. I talked with a couple of people on the jury wanting to know whether or not I felt like the project was dead. I do not. I do think it is very slow in terms of where it is. However, and I would encourage you to think in this way, if in fact you have an alternative that you want to look at that is different from this, I would not let this be the thing that keeps you from pursuing other things. My view is until it's done, it's not done. And so if there is an alternative to be brought up, please consider that or look at that. And again, I'm glad to come over at any time to brief you either, because I've done this with Mr. Baker with the Solid Waste Committee, and glad to talk with anybody else. So glad to open it up and answer the best I can any questions you may have.
But did y'all find somewhere to?
Yeah, and I expected you to ask a hard question, Ms. Jerry. The question is whether or not we're going to be able to find something within, say, Mansfield proper, which is going to be a little bit difficult, versus, say, something on the edge of town or into the parish area. Clearly, because of the acreage we're needing, we're going to need something else. We've looked at some things across from the landfill. There was a couple of recommendations. However, there were some issues associated with wetlands. We looked at some things further up the highway. There were some issues of contamination. Then we looked at some property on the eastern side of 49. Neither one of the properties had, neither one of the properties had water or sewage yet, but it would be very easy to extend that, except that there was a question of, all right, are we going to have to go and hook up to something further up the road that brings it across the interstate or go under the interstate? Going under the interstate is probably just totally out of the question. So we are still actively looking for something in DeSoto. And of course, anybody that has suggestions, please bring it to us. Just know that we're talking about 40 to 50 acres on the low side, probably closer to say 75 to 80 acres on the high side. But anything that you can contribute there, of course, we're glad to look at. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Is that your biggest obstacle, is finding property, or is your biggest obstacle finding funding?
Yeah, I would say that with enough funding, we can overcome the property issue. Will the property issue necessarily be ideal to what we want? In order to cut costs and to maximize the benefit to the Mundy landfill, it needs to be as close as possible. Now, does close mean 5 miles, 10 miles? We want it to be close because ultimately there's going to be a transfer going back and forth. It also will minimize the damage on any highways and also reduce any kind of exposure. So it's a way to answer your question is with enough money, clearly we can overcome that. There has been some talk about looking for putting that facility, that smart center, next door or in another parish, closer to sort of the waste, the epicenter of waste. And so right now, I think everything's on the table.
Did you talk to anybody as far as property is concerned? Had y'all tried to talk with anyone in particular, or?
Yes, Upland Road, I mean, again, not to deflect it, I mean, as the university, we're just sort of trying to guide and suggest things to these private companies. But my understanding is, yes, they have talked to a couple of, I think, 2 property owners, and in neither case were those ideal for various reasons. But again, if you have something, regardless, I mean, let us know so we can start doing the due diligence on that to take a look at it.
Was CLECO one of the possibilities? Did you
Yes.
talk with CLECO?
Yes, we did.
Because they have a lot of property out that direction.
We did. We spent almost 9 months talking to them.
And nothing was.
I would say that I don't feel that we're any
that y'all could see
closer.
that you could use with.
I don't believe we're any closer to working something out with CLECO than we were when we first started. And at some point in the day, the project has to move on, if that makes sense.
I understand. Just sounds like they weren't interested in selling.
Again, that gets into their intent, and I'll be honest, I can't. We tried multiple ways to talk with them about it, and they may have other projects. And again, I mean, they're private business. They have the right to go in and do whatever they want to with it. But I think we lost several months, to be quite honest, waiting and waiting and waiting for those responses.
Well, I'm disappointed. I was looking forward to that project.
I'm sorry, what?
I say I'm disappointed. I was looking forward to that project.
Yes. And I wouldn't suggest that it's like I said, I don't think it's dead at all. I think there may be a reconfiguring of it. However, ultimately, my view has always been, since Mundy and DeSoto Parish was the first to step up and really support this, they still need to be the ones that benefit the most from it. And that's never been off the table. That's always been that way. The other thing about it too, we've always been very focused on creating local certifications, either through technical or through high schools, so that so we can grow our own workers for the project. And that's still the priority there.
So if the project did come to where it was going to go forward, the investment in the recycling center you're talking about would be about how much?
It's 100% based upon volume. And what we've always strived to create was a 2,500 ton per day volume. Now, there's been some management changes out at Mundy over the course of this project where we've seen a decrease in the amount of total waste going in. And that's the nature of any landfill, so we can't push that on that. But if we can create a project where the collective, I just call it the waste shed, the total garbage universe that we're drawing from is in that 2,500 ton per day facility, then yeah, it moves forward. I think anything less than 1,000 really doesn't capture the economies of scale necessary for it to be profitable. And so unlike other things that are a public project where you don't have to turn a profit, this is not a not-for-profit. This is the two companies are private industries. So they will have to turn a profit.
What I was actually wanting to find out is the amount that you would be investing in the facility that would be a tax base for the parish.
I think the low end that Upland Road has discussed, the low end of that is in the 250, and then the high end is in the 600 range.
Are you talking about land acquisition?
250 million and 600 million. And again, and not to be vague with the answer, but it depends on the characteristics of the waste stream, how much of it is actually valuable, whether or not you get a disproportionate amount of, say, paper versus plastics and metals, which has a higher value. For example, there's basically no value in glass recycling. It's a net cost. And so if you have a disproportionate amount of that, that lowers the overall, which means you have to have higher capital costs on the sorting. One of the things that has always been a commitment of Upland Road is to hire local and to create local jobs. And that would be the tax base that Ms. Jerry was talking about there. And to be quite fair, I mean, we would still have to have a lot of training locally, regardless of where ultimately that smart center is. And so that's one of those benefits. Having met with the people at the school board and then talk with people in some of the job creation, workforce development, that is a priority that they have as well.
How many acres of land would you need for that facility?
Well, again, on the low side, about 40, on the high side, maybe 80. And it depends on the configuration of it. So if it's closer to like a square than it is a long rectangle, longer rectangle would need more. The square would need it closer to that 40 to 60
Does it
range.
need to be on the same side of the highway?
The whole unit? Those, yeah. And I'll tell you, there's a couple of things on that. One, because of the infrastructure costs, also the transportation. If you're going to have excess number of trucks coming in and out, you don't want them going to multiple sites. The other thing to take care of the residuals, that excess waste that you can't recycle, repurpose, reuse, that fraction goes back to Mundy in the first place. So you don't want that coming in 2 or 3 different ways. And so the smaller the footprint, the better. But I'll say this, if in fact we've got something that works out size-wise, infrastructure-wise, et cetera, let's look at it and go forward with that. What I'd really like is, say, by the end of spring, have 2 or 3 different options within the parish that we can look at and say, this is what's possible.
Any other questions?
How close again does it have to be to the landfill? I know you said ideally.
I mean, ideally, you don't want it to be much more than, say, 10 to 15 miles away. But if it was 17, I can't split hairs with you. A lot of it depends on the infrastructure. If it's right off 49, it can be obviously further away because it's so easy to get in and out of 49, particularly if there's already infrastructure there. If it's off of, say, 84, that's a little bit more problematic because it's 2 lanes.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Sharing this with
Thank you so much.
Okay, no new business. We'll go down to resolutions. Authorize the president to sign a resolution for various legal documents, including but not limited to leases, agreements, and contracts approved by the police jury.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Baker. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Okay, motion carries. Item 9, authorize the president to sign a resolution and grant application for the fiscal year 2024 through 2025 CWEF grant, East DeSoto Water.
So move.
Second.
By Mr. Baker, second by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. The motion carries. Item 10, authorize the president to sign the 2024 through 2025 LGAP grant application and resolution for improvements at the KCS subdivision sewer system.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries. Item 11, authorize the president to sign a resolution to consolidate and/or relocate certain polling locations.
So moved.
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Clark,
Raines.
Mr. Raines, I'm sorry. Second by Mrs. Burrell. Any discussion? It's fine. Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries. Item 12, authorize the president to sign a resolution approving the submission process for governmental grant applications.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Fuller.
Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Second.
Second by Mr. Raines. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries. Consider Dollar Hill Solar LLC variance request and resolution concerning the same.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ross, second by Ms. Burrell. Any discussion?
What's the reason for this variance?
So this, unless, he's here, but this is in order for them to start their project within the timeline that they have been planning to do from the beginning, which I think they've been coming to the jury now for over a year. And when they came to the jury, we started working on the solar ordinances. So we now have ordinances in place. They supported those ordinances. So we're asking, or they're asking for this variance from our current ordinances so they can keep up with their current construction schedules and it doesn't stop their construction construction of the facility. So, but he's here if he wants to answer or elaborate anymore.
Okay, he can let us know what they're looking for.
Thank you again for your time, and President Jones, thank you. Congratulations for coming, I guess, back to your position, and thank you again, Mr. Rodriguez-Ross, for your service. So I think one thing just to mention here with regards to the variance, and with respect to the ordinance in general, my company has been in touch with the parish administrator, parish engineer, parish attorney since October, since this ordinance was first considered. We totally understand the reasoning for the ordinance. We understand that there may be other projects that are coming to the parish, and there's a certain reasoning for wanting to be able to govern, obviously, the land that's being developed. The state is also considering an ordinance that could be looking to be passed within the next 6 to 8 months, and I'm sure that there's some, relationship that has to go back between you all and the state. that's kind of outside the purview here. I think a couple items to note with respect to the variance itself. One, we are already in compliance with the physical nature of the variance. Setback requirements, height requirements, tree screening requirements. A lot of the concern with our sorts of facilities come with the vicinity with which our projects are developed relative to, say, churches, schools, residences, things of that nature. Where we're proposing to construct is in the middle of a gas field. There's no structures around. The only thing we have for neighbors are well pads and a water tower along 175. I think, one other thing that's, kind of outlining what we are actually looking for here is the way that your ordinance is structured is such that there is a pre-construction permit, which allows us to start construction, and then there is another, I guess you can call it a permit. On the back end, it's really a permission to operate. The permission to operate functions very similar to what you guys would, I guess, equate to a certificate of occupancy. And so what we are asking for a variance for here is to not hold up the start of construction, given the fact that we are already in compliance, and then in addition to that are looking to supplement that application with all of the required materials that you would need from a regular applicant, whether it's economic impact studies, or if it's glare analyses, if it's visual screening analyses. We're looking to submit all of that, and we are going to need all of that to be submitted in order for us to receive our permission to operate at the back end. So we're looking to be in full compliance, as to also mention, all of the project contributions that we listed as part of the variance request. So, we again fully appreciate the reasoning for the ordinance and how, its applicability. I think if the ordinance was passed, say, at the beginning of 2024, we would have said, no problem, let's get right to work. We would have started working on it. But given the nature of when it was passed and its proximity to when we were looking to start construction, which we're looking to hopefully pull building permit within the next 1 to 2 months, we're seeing just a little bit of a crunch on schedule here. So that was kind of the reason for the ask. But I think, once again, I've been in touch with members of the parish for some time now. We've been talking about this and going over for some time.
So Dolly Hills and Solar and Clico, they're looking for this variance to get started or to continue.
Yeah,
Without being
yeah.
delayed.
Yeah, exactly.
Clico still in with this too?
Clico's still in with it.
Yeah.
My counterpart over at Clico, Andy Price, is based down in Alexandria, and given the weather, he wasn't able to make it up tonight.
So you've asked for a exemption from your taxes, and now you're asking for this variance request. And we've got a man right over here that wants to buy property from Clico, and Clico won't even talk to him. So why should we keep doing something for you and you won't work with them?
I can't speak for Clico. I'm very happy to talk to them. This seems like a very exciting recycling plant project, considering the density of its possibility. But I can't speak for Clico and its land ownership and its propensity to do business. But I can certainly pass on the message if you'd like.
Well, I'd like to see them kind of help us out a little bit.
I would too. I would too. I mean, they're utility. They're a big company. I get it.
You want them to? They want to keep coming to us for a favor,
I understand.
The man needs 40 to 80 acres of land for us to put a recycling place on.
I'll certainly let them know.
Okay, any other questions?
When's our 30 days start for our payment?
Thir-
Isn't the variance we paid in 30 days? Starting when?
30 days payment for what? Permit fee?
Yeah.
So I think part of the variance, and Jennifer, you can hold me honest to this, I believe part of what we're asking for here is that with respect to the permit fee, we would be looking at a contribution of, not necessarily in lieu of the permit fee, but a supplement to the permit fee, $1 million, about a mile worth of parish roads being upgraded, not to mention the community benefit agreement that was already agreed to, the sales taxes, the pilot agreement, et cetera. I think that we were either yet to discern when that would actually come due, whether that's 30 days from now or whether that come 30 days from when we pull building permit, which is again in the next 1 to 2 months. But we're looking at within the quarter for when that coming due.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Give-
Really, we need an alternate. I mean, the consider language needs to be improved. I think that was for the committee. I think it needs to be approve amended motion. motion to approve Dolet Hills variance?
Yeah.
I was gonna say approve the Dolby Hill Solar Variance Request and Resolution.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please vote. Okay, motion carried. Item 14, authorize the president to sign a resolution providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the special election held in the parish of DeSoto, state of Louisiana, on Saturday, December 7th, 2024, to authorize the rededication of a sales and use tax therein.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Baker,
Second.
second by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? None, please vote. Okay, motion carries. No ordinances, administrative items. Mr. Holmes.
Administrative items. Number 15, accept the resignation of Bonita Brown and appoint LaTarsha Shelton to the Planning Commission serving the remaining term.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Burrell, second by Mr. Fuller. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Mr. Matthew Raines.
I also have a nomination, if acceptable, Kathy Wells from Logansport.
What's her name?
Kathy Wells.
Wills?
Wells.
Wells.
LaTarsha Shelton. One by one. We'll do just go one by one on these.
You already put 1, 2, 3.
This was the motion that
Those
came
names
out.
go to the committee.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, that's
the
the legal
alternate
counsel.
motion should have been the second person, and the
That's-
third person, you really shouldn't have another motion.
Not old business.
This is the
Yeah, yeah.
motion
Not
that
old
came out.
business, is it?
Yep,
Right.
that's what I
And
thought.
then the second name would be an alternate motion. We
So,
only have one alternate motion.
At least we get it right.
so
Procedurally, that's
Kathy Wells will be an alternate motion.
Who was the first person?
Okay,
Melissa.
first one was Martha Raines,
Martha Raines should be an alternate
Matthew.
an
motion.
alternate motion.
Matthew Raines.
Matthew Raines.
Can't read my own writing. Matthew Raines should be an alternate motion, and those are the only two motions that should be voted on, with Matthew first, because it's the alternate motion.
Okay.
What came out of committee was to accept
Appointment for
the
LaTarsha.
resignation and to appoint Ms. Shelton.
Shelton.
If somebody has an alternate motion or an alternate name, it needs to be an alternate motion. It's be the correct way to do it.
First one was Ms. Raines. Let's put the alternate motion. So we vote on Ms. Raines,
Matthew, I think.
Matthew Raines.
So you need a second on that?
You need a second on the nomination of Mr., it was Matthew
Matthew
what?
Raines. Matthew
Raines.
Raines.
Would be when you need a second on that motion, alternate motion.
I second.
And the alternate motion's considered first.
Okay, we have an alternate motion for the resignation to appointing a planning for the planning commission to serve out the remaining term, Matthew Raines. All in favor of Matthew Raines, please vote.
I gotta vote, so.
I'm ain't right.
We have one remaining.
Ms. Burrell.
Mr. Burrell.
So it fails, so then you vote on the original motion.
Okay, the original motion was from Ms. LaTonya Shelton.
Yes.
Okay, please vote. Okay, so,
Go back to committee for consideration, and you'll have to have a two-thirds vote to approve reconsideration of failed votes. Although
Okay.
if you have a new name, that wouldn't be a failed vote, probably.
We can still do the
Yeah.
alternate, another alternate.
Not today.
Not
done
today.
today. No. Okay, we'll move on to administrative items. Mr. Holmes.
Item number 16, authorize the administrator to sign agreements with contract haulers as presented.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Ross,
Second.
second by Ms. Burrell and Mr. Clark. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
So did we just vote to not accept the resignation?
Yeah, it
So
really
far,
should be
yeah.
two things
Yes, ma'am.
next time.
Okay, that, Mrs. Tasha Shelton passes.
No.
I'm sorry.
Contract hauler.
Contract haulers.
I pushed the wrong button. You can, that mail was meant for a yes.
Oh, you meant for yes?
Just for record, sorry.
Okay, item 17, approve the amended 2024 budget and proposed 2025 budget for the operation of the North Louisiana Criminalistic Laboratory Commission. Motion by Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote. We should get it up. Okay, motion carries. Item 18, Holmes, Airport. Authorize the president to sign the state-sponsored agreement for the runaway and taxiway rehabilitation project at C.E. Rusty Williams Airport.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Burrell,
Second.
second by Mr. Raines and Mr. Fuller. Any discussion? Was it Mr. Clark? Mr. Clark. He said it kind of low, that's why I'm thinking, you know, Mr. Fuller talk low.
Need a roll call vote on that one, please.
Okay, roll call vote. Start with Mr. Fuller.
Aye.
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 Uh-huh.
Aye.
Uh-huh.
It's
I
had.
got ahead of myself. I heard all y'all said, see, I was psychic on that one.
Okay, last item. Approve the budget amendment for 2024 to comply with the Local Government Budget Act. Motion by Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Mr. Baker. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item passes.
I was trying to, it's hard to.
So moved.
at the same time.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll-
I want to give a speak. Thank everybody for your confidence in allowing me to serve again as president. Hope I do a good job. Hope y'all let me.
That's too many eyes on
Thank
it.
you.
Congratulations on He doesn't have that big presentation. We get done.